This episode and this series will focus on beginners and how they can start to integrate preparedness into their everyday life by using simple steps that are not only cost effective but very easy to understand and to build on. The first rule that we need to focus on is the rule of threes. You can only survive for about 3 minutes without air, about 3 hours without shelter, about 3 days without water, about 3 weeks without food, and about 3 months without companionship. Going against these rules will usually end in injury at the very least, but most likely death. Now we know the rules to survival, let's break it down. Without fresh air, you won't last more than a big breath of air, so basically 30 seconds. That's why it's so essential that you always have fresh, clean air whenever you are, whatever disaster. Shelter. In extreme conditions like blizzards, hurricanes, tsunamis, you're not going to get far if you don't have shelter relatively quickly. Water. Since our body is made up mainly of water, we definitely need a clean and fresh source that constantly is available to us 24/7 for the rest of our lives, or that life is going to be very short. Food. Without food is a little different with everyone, especially with everybody's different size and caloric intake. But basically, we can't live much more than about 3 weeks, give or take, without food in our system. Let alone we'll be extremely weak and pretty much useless after a couple weeks. Companionship. This is something probably most people don't think about, but found that people without interaction actually start to go mad. They've done even Hollywood movies about this. Tom Hanks was in a movie about being stranded on an island and befriending a volleyball named Wilson. If you go for a long period of time without human interaction, you start to somewhat become uncivilized. I know that doesn't sound that bad, but you'll start to actually become more animalistic. You'll focus on yourself. Aggression and other kind of characteristics may come through. So it's essential to have some companionship, whether it be with another human being, another animal, or anything that you can actually communicate with. Now I have you all stressed out. Let me relieve some of that tension. It doesn't take much to survive a disaster. Most of it's in your mind. Calm, positive thinking is the key. But some things like food and water will help you on your way. If you can start with a simple process, you will end up ahead of most people. This is simple. We need water to live. Our body is made up of mostly water, which makes it extremely important to prepare for survival. Most people live far from water sources, and even those have to be purified and cleaned. So that makes it quite a bit of work to do and understanding before you can even take a sip. So as the first thing I want you to do is to buy 3 1-gallon jugs of water every time you go to the grocery store, whether you want it or not. Usually you can find them for about anywhere from $1 to $1.50 a piece. Next comes food. I'm choosing canned food since it's easily reliable at any grocery store. It doesn't take any extra planning, and it keeps your caloric and vitamin intake even when you open it after several years. For right now, I would like you to go and pick out 2 cans of fruit, 2 cans of vegetable, and 2 cans of protein every time you go to the grocery store to add to your preparations. So a total of 6 cans every time you get groceries. Never buy anything that you won't plan or would not eat in the future. So if you hate tomatoes or are allergic to tomatoes, please do not buy cans of tomatoes. Disasters are stressful enough, and without you having to eat lima beans or beets from a can that you feel disgusted by. Next, I bet you want to know roughly how long you can last off this. Most people have a rough idea how many calories they need to take in, but really don't understand it. There's many caloric calculators on the internet, and I suggest that you each person that you're planning for get their weight and height and add this into the calculations and figure out exactly how many calories you'll need. And second, with water, you can expect at least a gallon a day per per person under normal conditions. Now this is on the lower side and mainly for just drinking. If you're planning to do wash, clean, hygiene, you're going to have to add more water to that. But hopefully by the time you get to that period that you're going to need hygiene and additional things, you'll be able to understand how to catch rainwater or purify local streams. I know you're still probably thinking, great, I have food and water, but that won't help me in a ride or tornado. So very wrong. We must start with a strong foundation before we start to add night vision and bunkers to the shopping list. Without food and water, basically everything else is just flashy show. I found an excellent workbook on how to break down survival needs. Surprising to me, it was made by FEMA. I know. We all probably shocked when I had to say this. Anyways, I've read it thoroughly, and I'm including it as a PDF below. I would like you to print it out and fill in the actual parts of it. It helps break down the hazards of what you're looking for and many other things that you'll find beneficial when prepping. Congratulations, you made it. Just taking the time to think about your needs during disaster is more than most of the community will ever do. Well, maybe until their smartphones die. That can stir up a lot of people. Anyways, the next segment in the series will break down specific hazards you might face and how to handle them. If you do like this video, go ahead and smack the like button. Or if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do that so you can get updated when the new videos come out. And if you'd like to be notified, go ahead and hit the little bell button. Until next time, this is John with Prepare Now. Stay safe, everyone.